how are we doing with this banner?
With the Young Heroes banner, I fully expect it to be amazing. Which, by the way, did you think was the Young Heroes banner?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was pretty clear from how short the silhouettes are.
Pretty clear, yep.
Looks at Thor.
All right, but yeah, this banner, last year's Young Heroes banner, by the way, has aged very gracefully. I still think, yep, I still think every hero on that banner, like with its rerun, is still viable and worth picking up again. Yep. But the new Young Heroes are something else. They went a very different direction, introduced a bunch of new skills, and there are some heroes that are just so essential to teams.
I would summon for Eirika if there wasn't a weird-looking animal that looks like a human on her right.
Wow. Wow, that's her brother. What the heck? Ephraim looks fine. Wow. All right.
I mean, okay, it's Vic. Never mind.
It's Vic. Don't take anything Vic says seriously, chat. All right. That said, though, wow, like.
Yeah, the meta implications in this banner are insane.
Yeah, I'm the only slight disappointment I have is Lyon being the 4-star hero, because he's not going to change the game the way Marth did. Young Marth is one of the most popular 4-star locked heroes ever, or 4-star 5-star heroes ever. Actually, I think he might be the most like plus 10-1 ever in terms of like you have to summon for anyways.
I mean, part of it's just arena scoring.
Yeah, but not just arena scoring, but the fact that he's double effectiveness, has his own special. Like, that was crazy. Like, that we got a hero like that. But yeah, it's unfortunate that Lyon won't be able to, like, follow up on Young Marth, but still, Leon's pretty good.
You can't follow up on the scoring, but...
My hope for him is a huge defense stat, so I can call him Veggies.
He will be probably one of the best mage tanks we have, period. And at the very least, he absolutely destroys anything of the niche that Sonia had.
Screw well. Oracle's effect if they position it well.
Well, wait a second. I didn't even see his I didn't see his stats.
His stats were not in the trailer, but people are trying to glean it, and it's looking like he has like somewhere around 40 to 44 attack, with like 32 defense and 36 res, something like that.
Yeah, I expect him to have no speed. I wish he had some speed.
Oh, yeah. But if he has absolutely no speed, that's actually a nice boon for them, you know.
That's usually my argument, but it's just that I wanted like a faster mage to use. But again, that's fine. It's Lyon archetype. It's not, you either have no speed or you have good speed, in my opinion. So I hate the middle ground. You're usually the one who brings up the middle ground.
I'm the one who brings up the middle ground, yes, because sometimes there are some really niche matchups where you really want that middle ground.
One unfortunate thing about this banner, once again, is had the foresight to not have an F2P unit with a legendary weapon that is also 180 BST.
Wait,
yeah,
how's that?
Very conscious of that.
Well, I would have liked that to happen personally.
They didn't want to bump up the arena scoring much more with this one.
Yeah, I mean, they've been stuck at 185 BST for like...
Man, I can't wait to see
2 years?
how it outdoes themselves when they make Brave Erika.
I mean, yeah, we haven't gotten a trainee 190.
Oh my god, you just realized... Yeah, okay, if you guys forgot, Brave Erika is going to be a thing this summer. She has her work cut out. Dual Eirika is looking amazing.
Yeah, Eirika joins the club of the ridiculous number of alts.
Wait a second. She's not going to be a sword hero then this summer.
No.
Because if she's a sword hero, it's
going to be Marianne that's the sword, let's be honest.
No, it's going to be Marth who's going to be the sword.
No, I actually expect Marth to be a mage with Starlight tome.
No, I want Super Falch. I want Marth.
He already has quote unquote Super Falchion and Exalted.
No, I want him to dual wield falchions. I want Marth to go across all the different timelines, collect all the falchions, and he's like wielding 9 falchions. It's like Zoro. No, it's like that B guy from Naruto who could, 9 falchions all at once. That's what I want.
The Pentafalchion Marth.
Pentafalchion, yes. Make it happen, IS.
Want the Altino replacement?
Would be great. But no, I expect him to not. I expect Marianne to have Blood Gang. Eirika would probably be a healer. Marth would probably be a mage. He could also be the healer. And then Gatekeeper Lance.
Yeah, that's kind of what I expect. But I don't know. I feel it feels weird to not have Sword Marth. But by the way, this basically confirms it, guys. There's no Sword Eirika. That wouldn't make sense. You can't beat this Eirika, by the way. This Eirika is way too good. If they even attempted it, it would just be folly. Which, by the way, that'd be like the third Sword Eirika.
Correct.
Rep for everyone who built Sonia.
No, this is the third Sword Eirika. That would be the fourth Sword Eirika if they did it, because we have base Eirika, legendary Eirika, and now this Eirika. There was already 3 Sword Eirikas. This is not a Hector situation. All right.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it. RIP for everyone who built Sonia. Yeah. Okay. Look, let's just be frank here, chat. Ask yourself this: why did you build Sonia?
Who needs Ragnella Londite when
Did you build Sonia?
I haven't yet, but I'm inclined to. For Jesus, please.
Never.
Look, you built Sonia for the boobies.
Or because you wanted to use me.
No, you didn't. No, that's a lie. Be honest with yourself. You did it for the boobies. Okay? And if you did it for the boobies, you got what you paid for. They're there. They'll always be there.
Well, what do you prefer? Boobs or show to lol?
I mean, young Leon's pretty cute, but so there's no excuse for it. All right? There's no excuse. Like, I'm pretty sure Leon's gonna be way better. All right? But you knew what you were doing.
Brush.
Yeah.
Literally just obliterate. I will say with blue dual infantry, if you're willing to make the commitment, which is not that bad of an option because of Leon's stat line. If you run blue dual infantry, you can actually use them as a counter to the likes of legendary Leaf, and then also a soft counter to things like legendary Crow.
Ah. That would be so bad.
A hard
Please
counter
just
to a
give me
dual
high
violence.
definition for Big Knees memes.
Because if he has like 32 defense, 35 res, that is really just Sonia's stat spread, which means he's also a viable target for close foil.
The speculation right now is that he has
Marth also
44
has a
attack,
bow and
which
a
is
pig
not
knife kappa.
fair, and I think it's going to be lower than that. But even if it's like 42, the one-shots are really up there.
Yeah, Leon, look, chat, I don't think he's going to go to degree of Marth, but I absolutely think he's absolutely worth getting. I just don't think he's... Well, if you can, as always, if you can plus 10 a hero like this, you probably would.
Brave Marth will wield the falchion. Tone.
Falchion.
It's like Mistletoe all over again.
I mean, that'd be pretty cool. Yeah, Mars.
No, if you can plus 10 Leon, he would be absolutely amazing. But yeah, when you have young Marth, who's a 170 75 BST bin sword infantry with hero's blood, it's kind of hard to compete.
Yeah.
I mean, in fairness though, Leon is a 170 BST blue mage. He kind of keeps up.
Wait, I just realized. You see, like, did you see their idle animation has them crossing their swords? That's so cute.
It is so cute.
But it's awkward because they're both right-handed, so Eirika has to keep switching sword hands.
Ephraim's making her work.
Yep.
So they can keep this pose.
And it's not even dual Ephraim, it's dual Eirika. Ephraim, know your place.
Yep. You had your time in the sun. It's time to throw you in the back.
Yeah, right, because we have dual Ephraim and now we have dual Eirika, which is hilarious. By the way, usually little girls grow like bigger than little boys. I know they're supposed to be twins and all, but like I was kind of surprised to see that like they were basically exactly the same height. I expected her to be like a little bit taller.
It takes a little bit before they get to that point. Like it takes
oh yeah, you're also right. They look like they're 6.
Yeah, they're probably like 8-ish or so. So it takes a little longer for the girls to reach their full height at like 13.
Yeah.
But then the boys catch up.
Yep.
So
Oh my god. Do you realize this is pretty insane? Tana's ultra movement. Let's start with our first hero, Tana. Her ultra movement. You just saw that.
Which I forgot, by the way.
That was like 5 spaces.
Yeah, she is literally Grimoire Noe. Melee.
The only unfortunate thing is like, I know people are like right away when they think about extra movements, like, oh, dagger. It doesn't work like that because it's a teleportation. It's not a extra movement. So
yeah.
You're not getting like 6 movement like dagger or something, but it's still cool. The teleportation is huge. allows her to follow up in combat really, really well. And because of the near trace skill, she always has cancel. So you can use her just like another Regan, for example. Just not
Also,
as
with
well.
all these other sword known units on the hill, what if this pulls a big brain and makes Gatekeeper to be the red sword unit? Gatekeeping another thing and being the sword boy.
They won't do that. He's gonna be a lance. There's no reason they're gonna like. It would be silly for them to try something else. All right, but yeah, Lance of Frelia is really good. Special trigger cooldown count -1. I really like that. That's immediately, if a hero can do that, I'm already thinking Gale Force. But this is especially,
always.
yeah, this is especially good because the teleportation effect as well. So unit can move to space within 2 spaces of an ally within 2 spaces. At start of combat, if unit's HP is over 25%, grants attack speed +6 to unit during combat, and also if unit initiates combat, defense res +10 during combat. That's so dumb to me. That is additional 32 stats. That's a lot of stats on initiation.
Picnic Flora, not Picnic, regular Flora 2.0.
Yeah, actually, yeah. That's even better. Because there's no
20
comparison.
20 defense, 12 speed, 6 attack, and 10 defense, and 10 res on initiation.
Yep.
You're welcome.
That's so good.
I mean, the only thing is that obviously because it's Tana, her stats normally kind of pale. Like she only has 29 defense and 23 res.
Yep.
But who cares? It's now 49 defense and 33 res.
Which, by the way, it drives me nuts how she's so much better than Resplendent Tana. Like, why?
I mean, Resplendent Tana came
I know it's a young hero and all, but like, it's just, it makes me sad. I know, it just makes me so sad though. Like, what's the point anymore?
Well, look
You
at Young
can
Marth
give
versus
Baby
Marth.
Lion the Mage Hack X for double
Yeah, I
compound
get it.
children.
More fun on children.
Okay. All right, but the rest of it, Draconic Auras, whatever. Steady Impact is really good on her, actually. Speed, defense +10.
Perfect for Ether Raids initiations.
Right, because I'll always make the argument that you're not so worried about, like, damage. In fact, hitting too hard is detrimental. You might not get 2 shots in.
Mm-hmm.
So having Steady Impact or something to make sure you survive. An extra 20 defense on initiation's nuts. Extra 13 speed. Yep.
I actually think attack speed near trace or attack defense near trace might be better in the future because you improve your heavy blade check while also still being able to keep your attack low.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right about that. And by the way, her having attack speed range is like so perfect.
It is. Literally not going to be taking much of any damage at all and making the heavy blade check that much easier.
This is one of the best initiation heroes in the game because you get to also pull out with cancel as well. Like, even if it's 1 space chat, that's a lot.
Yeah, you can literally swoop in from anywhere, be 2 spaces away from your ally, who cares? You can literally run solos with this and still have it just be working. And then you can just pull out with Canto.
And it's going to have the Gale Force interactions of cancel as well, which means you can use Gale Force and then Canto.
Yep, you can Gale Force, pull back with your Lance of Frelia movement, repo, and then Canto.
It's so
and because
dope.
you're, and then you only can move 1 space at that point, but still.
I know that's so dumb. That's a lot. You can do a lot with that. I'm just pointing out the flexibility. Like, this is Gale Force teams. You're looking for a hero like this with all these extra tools.
So here's the question. We have had some really top shelf Lance Flyers as of recent. Where do you think Tana falls in comparison to both Farina and Irenis?
Farina's like the safest way of just getting a shit ton of extra stats. She doesn't care about your buffs. I really like her, but when it comes to Gale Forcing, you want that ability to enter combat. And I don't think anyone's gonna beat Frelia when it comes to that. Lance of Frelia.
I'll agree with that. What about the Brave effect of Irenis as far as Brave doubles go for heavy blade check?
Irenis is kind of awkward. If you have the right team all the time, I can see it working.
Nowadays, Gus, I am going to have to save up for fixing our neighbor's mistake and cutting our cable cords when they remove the tree in their lawn.
What the
Not
heck?
like this, good luck, Nims, and will probably not be back after the end of this month when the internet's gone.
What the? Okay, take care of Zork. What the heck? Get mobile internet. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, dude. Yeah. Cable internet, not the way to go anymore. Not as much.
Yeah. All right, but aside from that, Aranis doesn't have slaying, right?
No, she has attack +3.
Yeah, so that's the problem. I think you gotta have slaying basically for it to work perfectly.
I'll agree with that. I mean,
I'd just like to say something.
Yes.
I don't think this has been covered, but the potential interaction.
Wait, how did you get in here?
Refreshers.
Who are you?
I'm a perpetual stoner, according to you.
Yeah, you are. You always sound like you're stoned. But introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Evan KPV, I suppose, somebody who likes.
This is the legendary Green Ira Lover, aka the Gunter Master. For whatever reason, he's been obsessed with using Gunter for as long as I've known him. He's actually in here. Welcome, Evan. I've actually invited him to be here a couple of times before, but he's always turned me down.
I have never been in VC with you, so this is quite the pleasure.
Correct. But yes, just wanted to cover the potential interaction of trace skills and refreshing skills like Duo Peony's Gentle Dream.
Because it's an assist.
Yep.
Refreshers can have access to Kanto, potentially. And by potentially, I mean most likely, because there's no inheritance restriction strictly for dances.
That's correct.
You're right.
So you just refresh with Peony, you pull back, and you're safe. No worrying about initiations from your foe.
That's why I think these trace skills are ridiculous, because we saw it with La Rochelle. Like, you could just use return and then just run away.
Yep.
You know, that sounds so stupid.
Yep. Now, of course, return is like, it's reposition. You kind of know what that's already like, but you can do this with things like restore as well.
Yeah.
You can just restore and pull back.
Yeah. That really messes people up, and in her case especially, just staying alive. But we'll talk about that.
Completely turns off the weapon limiters.
Yeah. La Rochelle was literally just the guarantee that it's not going to be weapon restricted.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much guaranteed. Near trace will be all melee lance, and all melee calves and flyers, and then far trace will probably be all ranged.
Yeah, we'll check it out. Like, I'm really excited for these. By the way, I'm sorry for everyone who likes Pegasus Flight, Wyvern Flight. I think trace skills are better because there's no comparison. Like, it's not. If we look at it 1-to-1, you can make the argument like, oh yeah, -7 attack, -7 defense is really, really nice. But do you know how ridiculous it's been seeing people like go out of their way so hard to try and make their B slot skills work? Like, their entire kit is gutted in order to make it work. I've seen people use like Phantom Defense, Phantom Res, and I'm like, why? That doesn't actually do anything. It's just for your B skill. Like, instead of running like Speed Res Solar or something and getting like a bunch of extra stats, 12 extra stats, you're running this fake stat thing just to get your B skill to work. I've always hated that. Like, there is no conditions here. Speed defense -3 at all times, and the flexibility of having Kanto. I'm sorry, it's just like, why even bother Wyvern Flight or Pegasus Flight? It just
literally destroys almost any other flyer B slot. Like, the people complaining that flyers didn't have B slots, now they do.
I mean, they had Dive Bomb. That's a big one, but aside from that,
I guess. But it's on Tibarn and that's it.
Yeah.
It was on a banner, but yeah, that was literally, if you don't use Dive Bomb, and not a lot of flyers can, good luck.
Also, I was really frustrated. Like, if you remember during the Hero Views chat.
Hold on. Wait a moment. I realized.
I was going to mention that.
Will this be 300 SP? Saves were 300.
Oh crap. No, I don't. No way. If it's 300, it'll break the game.
It will. I am actually really worried about that. If it is 300 SP, for those wondering, that would essentially mean that all flyers and cavaliers, most likely, will be able to run 300 SP A, B, and C if they have. Well, which means that literally any cav or flyer can now score optimally, which would, for example, take, say, would be a good example, Dual Leaf, and push his scoring even higher, because he would have access to 300 SP on all slots, as opposed to just on A or C. Because the way scoring works, if you have your signature weapon, you can run 300 SP on A, B, and C to score higher than a normal unit can, period. But that requires you to have the B slot. If these traces are 300 SP, that means that those movement types have access to an inheritable option, as opposed to a signature one.
I'm gonna I'm gonna hope it's not the case, because that would not be fun. It would really look like, even if you're a free-to-play player, it just really changes the scoring of everything. Like having this, and it would introduce so many more heroes into Arena, which
It would, like, take for example, Elliewood could run Red Dual Cavalry with this, and then like Joint Drive. Boom.
I doubt inheritable 300 SPB skills will happen, since it will make characters without PRF weapons unviable in Arena.
that's
Only
like
Cavalry and Flyers.
the ramifications. There are a lot, but we'll see. I'm not gonna discuss it until we see it. For now, there are already enough ramifications in that it takes a shit on Wyvern Flight and Pegasus Flight. As I was saying, I was so pissed off because it's just like every hero view I had to remind. Well, I wasn't literally angry, chat, but it was upsetting to see how many people like didn't understand it was visible stats, not in combat stats. So people were trying to like double solos their stuff, and it didn't work. Like they were wasting so many resources trying to make it work. And then I had to like recommend Fury 4, which by the way, Fury 4 isn't for every hero, right? Especially like, what's the point of having like Wyvern Flight where you reduce their attack by 7, but you take 8 chip damage anyways? Like that's idiotic, you know? You're
Yeah,
not saving
and not
yourself
trying to-
anything. Yeah.
You're not even really getting the 7 at that point. You're only just trying to get up to -2 extra, because it's 50% gap, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and in some cases it just didn't work anyways. Like you meet the speed check, but they're like an armor hero, and it just does nothing.
Or you just meet the res check, but you don't have the speed, a la Ashnard. And
Yeah.
who cares at that point?
Yeah, like it was one of the most awkward skills. Like the only hero that I liked it on was basically Jill, because she had like reverse desperation in her weapon or something like that. Like she could attack twice before they can counterattack. So that was the only hero. Everybody else, I hated it. So I'm really glad that we have these skills now, because yeah, sure, you don't go up as high as attack defense -7, but speed defense -3 is huge. And again, Kanto, this just gives you so much flexibility. Like you could reposition somebody and then move. Like anybody who's played Regan knows it's not going to be to the same effect as Regan, because Regan's 3 steps, right? But this gives you a lot more leeway in positioning. Like positioning is king. Like I always say that. You can have all the stats in the world, but it won't matter if you're not in the right place to utilize those stats. So this helps a lot with things like that, and especially with retreating. So I like this a lot. Like this is a game changer skill.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you
This
believe?
will change a lot.
Yeah. Can you believe Kanto just came out like a couple of months ago, and now it's like on everything?
Yeah, I had a feeling it was going to. I pretty much said from the moment I saw it on Regan that that's going to eventually be a B slot. I didn't know how they were going to implement it, but I knew Kanto was going to be a B slot.
I
And
also
it
thought
is.
that. Like I also believed it would be on more heroes as time went by, but this was really fast.
Yeah. Not even the end of the book. We still have 2 Kanto units in the main book that haven't been introduced, and already it's a B slot.
Yep.
And not to mention, for Flyers now, they have access to free stats on all 3 slots, A, B, and C, making them actually arguably better than Cavalry and Infantry as far as stat stacking.
Yep.
Because Cavalry now basically can choose between lulls and these new B slots, whereas Flyers, they didn't really have the choice unless they wanted to be stupid with flights.
Yep. And thank goodness that's over. All right. Aside from that, her stats: 40 HP, 55 attack, 41 speed, 29 defense, 23 res. That 29 defense is turning to what? 49, 53?
53 defense.
That's
with
insane.
37 res.
That's insane. She's so bulky up close.
Mm-hmm. Physically, she's almost like young Sheeta in that she's trying to force a stat she doesn't have. In this case, it's defense as opposed to attack.
Yeah. It's not like she's hitting softly either, though, because that Lance of Frelia is also 6 attack, 6 speed. So 61 attack, and then if you use Heavy Blade, with it counts as effectively 65 with her C slot.
And it's 64 because of her B slot.
Oh yeah, so she's still hitting pretty hard.
Yep. And then her speed is stupid. Let's see, that'd be 47, 53, 54 actually, 57, 61. If I've got that right.
Chat. There was an idiot once upon a time on our stream who would start every hero build argument with, at +10, if you get the plus speed and you use blah 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 blah, and then at the end of all that bullshit, they're like at 50 speed, and I had to like explain to that individual why that was so dumb. The reality is, this was always going to be the future, where heroes at like base were going to be like 55 speed plus. I've been bringing this up every hero banner because it's literally the future of this game.
The
You
speed
can't-
meta is always accelerating. That's
It's
why
always
I-
accelerating.
Ironically, it's why I argue the middle speed ground actually still matters, because even the middling speed units like Legendary Crom can still be fast. So if you have a lick of speed and you're not like 17 even, there's something to compete with. But you'll never compete with the speed demons like Tana now. Or
Right.
Violet.
The point I was trying to make is, if we're talking about heroes like, say, Resplendent Roy and going for like Spurn on him, that stuff was always short-sighted. I'm not trying to call out anyone in particular, but middling speed heroes, just because they got a little bump in speed or something, just because you summer supported them or something, the reality is like it barely worked then. It's not going to work in like definitely in 6 months. A lot of these new heroes being released nowadays are like 42 speed, 41 speed, something ridiculous at base. And of course they got super boons and all that stuff. And on initiate, like, it's just ridiculous. Dagger, by the way, is also 60 speed plus at base. Like,
And let's not forget that even the slower units, like look at Spring Myrrh and look at Dual Leaf, for example. They hit over 30 speed base and they're supposed to be slow.
mhm.
So even in the middling speed meta, those kinds of units could still actually just outpace everything, to the point where trying to use a middling speed unit to have the advantage isn't even going to work.
Yeah. So if you have a middling speed hero, you should just not do it. It's short-sighted. It's not gonna last. It might barely work now at best.
Yep. Even like when you have 36 speed, it could be a little risky to be trying to focus on speed control. Unless you literally dump everything into your speed stat, in which case maybe you'll have something.
Yeah. By the way, do you think they did this on purpose? The fact that they like let you see the start of the battle and like, I'm so
Yes.
confused by that.
Same thing they did with Saviors. They're trying to introduce how the skill interacts, so they have to so they show the start.
Okay, I
Mainly
see.
stats.
I see. Right. When in this case, it's to show you that Kanto's like movement, how Kanto movement is reserving your leftover movement and using it afterwards. Okay, so I get it.
And how it interacts with specifically Tana and Larshell's rescue and Tana's Lance of Frelia.
Mm-hmm. Though I would argue you could, it would probably be, you would show it off regardless, but yeah, it shows a different count specifically. Anyways, Staff of Rosted. Look, we've only basically had one real competitor ever to well, we didn't have a competitor. Now we will. Brave Veronica was on the hill all by herself. When it came to offensive staff healers,
Well, Elise kind of.
she showed up for like a month or two. I guess some people are still using her, like Evan, for example.
Decent enough. I see some decent Elises out there because she actually holds her own stat-wise, kind of.
Yeah, but she was barely, like, it was just a couple months ago she got her fine, and a few people tried her out. Don't get me wrong, Gravity's really, really good, but when it came to getting kills, it was always going to be Veronica. Her offensive stat spread was just way better than any other mage healer cav. Jesus Christ.
That much. It wasn't actually that much better than Elise, and Elise gets attack speed +4 on her staff.
Sure, but when it came to, like, let's say like Eflin or somebody, like the free-to-play options, none of them
when
could
it
keep
came
up.
to the free to play, and Veronica was free to play as opposed to Elise, kind of.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, Veronica always was the prime cav healer, and then Elise was up and coming, with like Priscilla, for example, being the free to play option if you need a second one.
Yeah. Hey, chat, I'm not dissing Elise. Gravity is really, really, really good. It screws people up all the time. It's like, I'm not kidding about that. But when it came to like sheer offensive prowess, it was basically just Veronica. Elise was a clear step behind. And now I think we have a new, well, this is a true competitor. With Veronica's Refine, she's a decent support hero. Especially after she attacks and buffs her allies as well. That can be a game swinger, changer.
Absolutely.
But
Yeah.
Staff of Rostin, I'm sorry, it's just no competition. All those stupid brave Hectors who have just automatically
Well,
glue eatered my team. What's
here's
up?
the thing.
Yep.
Savior. Who cares?
So you're right about that.
I think they gave La Rachel a unique role as a distant flash unit. It's hard to compete with Veronica on pure stats since Veronica creates a swing of 8 stats.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. I don't really value Veronica's staff as much anymore, outside of the passive threaten, because there are better ways to buff your allies, and there are a lot of penalty neutralizations, plus a lot of penalties being spread around with things like ploys, sabotages, and shrines. The -4/+4 swing is good and all, but I don't think it's actually that game-changing.
It's not. It's not. But again, as a colorless unit who hits so hard, well, relatively hard, she surprises people a lot in terms of, and
Don't get me wrong.
people always
I love
discount.
Veronica.
Yeah, and people always discount the eight stat swing because that actually messes up people a lot.
It does work. I just don't. It's not huge. Is the thing.
Well,
Like, compared to what some of the other staffs do.
yeah. No. I'm not gonna disagree with you there. The staff itself, like, yeah. For example, if I could take the Kia staff into every battle, I would, but I can't.
Mhm.
But in terms of being on like a mobile platform, a cav, and then having two, like the threat range was huge. Like she was a, for a lot of people, this could be a very annoying hero to deal with. So my entire point is, up until now, we didn't have a competitor, and now we have not just a competitor, but a hero that does something really, really interesting. Now, you're right. You brought it up. Savior skills, in fact, screw this up. But savior skills are still not accessible, especially far save savior skills.
Exactly.
So
there's only one with it right now, and that's Henriette.
And of course, that's not a normal pool. So you're right. In the future, I expect them to just put out like another hero, for example, and then just use say Vector in the background with far save instead to start the tanking procedures off. But
And then, of course, I will say Null Sea Disrupt has its place in this meta as well. There's a lot of like Null Sea Bikes, Winter Altinas, and things like that as well. So that's also worth keeping in mind.
that will still happen. Yep. But the most common setups are kind of screwed, and if they don't have far save, it doesn't work. So until far save becomes demoted, a lot of the Vectors are now put on notice because there's nothing they can do about it if they don't have far save. And same thing with a lot of the Brave Ikes. If they didn't have Null Sea Disrupt on him, you're on notice now because it's not going to work anymore.
Yeah. I mean, the big thing to note is especially in defense hands, it's almost impossible to avoid this staff, but it's possible to manipulate who it hits. Like, for example, I could put Milla in the same column as La Rochelle, and she'll hit Milla, even if Vector is somewhere over. If, like, Milla is just a little bit closer, or if Vector's just outside her range, it's not going to matter anymore.
I get what you're saying.
There's a lot of potential for you to just get no options.
Yeah, because if they do what you're saying and another unit is even closer than Vector, and if they don't have save skills, you should be having multiple coverages in that, like, another hero should be able to like attack instead, which would be awkward because it would just be like, I just put Milla in there and now they're attacking Milla, you know?
Yeah. It's hard to exactly say how threatening this is going to be, but at the end of the day, you really are going to force a lot of pressure through this staff, especially if you just don't want to lose a unit. Because now, if you have a unit like, for example, say you have a duo Lyn, normally she can take one enemy phase, and because of her speed, she'll double and she'll get a kill in enemy phase, maybe. That's not going to happen anymore. So you get a free initiation and then probably just kill her on a follow-up from a refresh. So there goes your full clear win.
Yep. But yeah, for me, like, this is, I have to go over her. Veronica, the disappointment when my team has just been, I have no solution for Vector. My solution for Vector, by the way, chat, has historically been, well, I can't kill Vector, so I'll kill everybody else. And that's how I'll win. That's been my solution historically. Is it the best solution? No. If they're really smart, it doesn't work out. But it does work once in a while. This just gives me a much better option. And I like this a lot because in preference and in reference of enemy teams nowadays, there are too many glue eater teams, and I never like that. And even if we're talking about save teams, right? this could mess them up. This could still cause issues.
It can, because your savior, whoever is, like, for example, if you have a near melee tank and then a range tank at a range, Ralston's going to hit the melee tank, so if you just have a good melee unit follow up, they're still screwed, even if the ranged far save is not going to have anything to do with it.
Yep. And just in terms of Aether-Raid's defense, this is such a big game changer. That's why I, like, really, really need this on my team.
You literally just have to accept one unit's probably not going to counter every turn, is how I see it.
Yep. And I like this because it actually is meta changing, because anybody who deploys this Laura Shell basically forces the opponent to use more offensive units. You can't. If you just want to end turn, you're really putting your hands, like, there could be scenarios where you just don't win if you want to try that. Yeah.
And of course they have the gall to give her rescue, so rescue traps will also be quite the interesting experience.
Yeah, that's actually ridiculous, because Winter Bernadetta combinations, oh my god, I hate those.
Yeah. Here's a comp for you. Winter Bernadetta, Dual Leaf, and Lara Shell.
Yeah. That's practically, yeah.
That's terrible, actually. I don't want to face that team ever.
That team, basically, Chad, if you don't know how that works, turn 1, if you're not in position, they're attacking you immediately.
With trace skills, the movement for Cav and Flyer units, imagine the movements now with Dogger and not Pathfinder.
Yep. The future combinations, I want to make a video about this in the future, but if you guys haven't noticed yet, Fire Emblem Heroes is graduating into a faux RPG. Before, when the Fire Emblem Heroes first came out, I was so terrified that they were going to make it too much like the actual games and it wouldn't be accessible enough. Now that we're into like 3-4 years, right, heading to year 4, the entire idea nowadays is just like any feature, any function, anything that they can think of, they're going to put in the game. That's why like actual fully like more complex skills like Kanto have been put in the game. Like Dagger's ability to take away your movement cost is in the game. Like that stuff in actual SRPGs. Heal block, right, from Deep Wounds in the game. So yeah, we have all these things now, like an actual SRPG. So it's cool to see. I really do like stuff like this being put in, and it balances things out, because just like a week ago we were talking about how save skills were so busted and there wasn't a really good solution yet. Stuff like this goes a long way in countering that. Yeah,
it definitely goes without saying that as much as saves ironically put the movement meta down, this kind of stuff puts the movement meta up.
Yeah,
like movement is becoming more and more valuable.
Do you play the mainstream games? This is a mainstream game, Kappa.
I mean, according to the book that comes with the 30th anniversary edition, this is a mainline game.
Oh, I'm not so sure about that, but yeah, like I appreciate the direction the game is going, because I still remember once upon a time, I mean, this is a meme with me, people still bring this up, where I said Fury, Desperation, everything. Like once upon a time, you basically only had 2 options for most heroes, so it wasn't even my fault.
To be fair, armors are now almost saving or nothing, but yeah.
Right.
Diversity is going up.
But yeah.
Hit percentage won't happen. That's the whole point of damage reduction.
Right. There are still things like hitting, like crits, things like that. They don't directly translate. There are like, they kind of translate in what they're trying to do, but it's not the same thing.
I mean, they want to remove the luck aspect when it comes to the battles. That's not the point of this game.
Right. All right. But with that said, attack speed push 4 is really nice. Staff of Rossin, attack speed push 4. That's already 13 extra attack, 13 extra speed. You add the Far Trace, that is now 16 extra attack, 16 extra speed.
I think this is the only healer that actually grants stats to themselves. Like, actually just grants stats as opposed to inflicting penalties. Which is interesting.
Yeah, she also inflicts penalty, which is crazy.
Well, except for Camilla. Which, by the way, Staff of Rossin gives attack speed +6. Camilla's staff only gives 3.
Yeah.
Wanted to point that out.
Rest in peace.
Ouch.
All right, but this is what I mean. I just gave a rant earlier about like how slow units aren't really viable. This is a freaking healer, and she's probably gonna break it into 60 speed.
Yeah, let's look at that actually.
Yeah, well, armored calves, I expect that to be a thing one day as well.
To some degree. I mean, we have a lot of great knights already.
Okay, so oh wow, 38 speed base. So with a total of 16 extra speed, that takes her to 54. Yeah. Okay, so she's not hitting 60 speed, chat, but like.
I mean, this is a healer.
This
She's
is a
actually not
healer.
as fast as I thought, but then again, it's Laura Shell. She's not.
Wait, she's
actually
hitting
as fast.
harder than I thought. That's harder than Veronica.
She has a lot of attack. That's 37 attack. That's let's see. That goes up to 57, 64, 67 attack. Ouch.
Yep. So this is a very dangerous unit. Wow. I'm looking forward to getting her. She's going to be a big difference maker.
One thing to remember though.
Armor calves.
No.
Have you not fought Duso?
No, we mean like the straight up class of armor cabs, but yes, Duso's basically an armor cab.
I mean, that's what he originally was. But yeah, good thing to remember. There's no dazzling in this kit. And she has 36 HP with 16 defense.
So the entire idea of Staff of Rostin is that whatever's in range, she drops that that debuff on. So they can't counterattack. So that's the idea.
She has to target that unit.
Yep. You could remove her B slot, but I think that's wonky because it gives her more speed, more like it increases her offensive potential, and of course the retreat function is gonna make her absurd. Like, can you imagine trying to chase down Rochelle? She's just like, nope. I'd rather use restore. I'd rather use rescue, and you're just like getting hit by non-counter attack status constantly.
Ugh.
She doesn't want to fight you. If she doesn't want to fight you, she doesn't want to fight you. You know?
Yeah, when she just restores idly, then she can move 3 spaces away.
Yeah, you guys gotta remember how healer AI works. If the healer can't get the kill on you, they're just gonna use restore. If they can use restore and they can't get the kill, they'll just use restore. So she can just run around, run away from you, and just keep like pestering you at every start of the turn by dropping non-counter attack status and -6 res. It could be so annoying.
The one saving grace is that it's not a flash staff, so you can't use it actively for the flash status, as opposed to like say what Mist had, where she can inflict the attack speed -7 and panic status both actively and passively. Or she'll only do it passively.
Yeah.
So that's
Look, I already think it's absurdly good, so I'm glad, because otherwise it's just absolutely frustrating.
it's already terrifying enough as it is.
Yeah.
Though I will say it is kind of comical when you think about it. Staff of Rostin is a more consistent yet neutered version of Banshee Theta from Solon.
Ah, yeah.
Because Solon inflicts attack speed def res -6, flash status, and then also gravity guard. Only on turns 3 and 4, but also on the nearest foe within 5 spaces. Kind of neat.
All right, but I'll just say it now. I think she's the biggest game changer for me, especially. I need her.